Today is lesson day. I don't teach. I say that. I used to say that almost every video, but then only 1 or 2 people watch my videos. Seems like I might have somebody else watching them. And hello. I do this only because I love it. I don't do it for money. I don't do it for fame. I don't do it for... Now, if National Geographic wants to call me and ask me to do a journal in one of their magazines, I'm up for that. But I don't see the odds of that happening. The lesson I'm going to teach you today, since I don't teach anything, is how not to journal. This happened in the middle of the night. And I've been up since because I don't like it. I didn't know how to fix it. My printer is acting up. I spent half the day yesterday trying to figure out how I could get prints from my pictures yesterday. I want them now. I don't want them to have to wait. I have a Canon selfie printer. It's acting up. It's giving me fits. I'm mad at it. It's in timeout. All I know is I'm taking it apart. I got this in the mail yesterday, and it's just like a brochure for a local theater here on the edge of town. But I loved how they did this. I thought, how can I do that with all those pretty washi tapes that I have? So that's what I did. And I used it in the title. That's the only part I like. And it's not even trimmed right. Let me trim it right. So I have been watching, trying to go back to sleep, never did, watching other videos. Now, I love this. This is like Job, who I love watching. He doesn't know who I am from Adam. But I love watching his videos. I love his aesthetic. This is one of the tax envelopes that I've been tearing apart. The inside is this gorgeous green. I know I only have 1 page, because according to my plan, and yes, Kurtie, I did try to use Post-its at first. In fact, all these scraps that I'm using to help me, if I skip a page, I skipped a page in here, is Post-its that I'm reusing, repurposing. But to me, I needed it in a small space, and it worked. So I know I only have, and I skipped Cong. This is the name of the city, Cong. Who in the world names a city Cong in Ireland? And of course, there were many King Kong jokes that day. But in reading, Cong is from Conga in Gaelic, the narrow neck of land between 2 lakes. And it was, and that makes sense. So, duh, read your stuff, lady. So, I thought, I have this map, which I got out of my almanac, and I'm just shrinking it. And I'm trying to keep track of, we started here, and we drove all the way over to here. When we were picked up. And this is Galway's here. What is the name of that? Excuse me. The name of that city? Clifton is where we spent the first night. And it's at the coast almost. Well, yeah, I think it was. Anyhow, so we're almost there. We stopped and had lunch. And I know I like that. I know I only have 1 page because Something very special happened in this city. John Wayne made one of his first movies called, oh dear. No, that's not what it was called. But there's a statue. Ireland has this thing about statues. They make statues of everything. These are printed on copy paper, and my ink is even running out. This is one of my favorite sites in the world. I love all these signposts. And we got to see our first castle. So this was a very magical day. In fact, that's what I wrote somewhere. Oh, here. First impressions. 12th century old in the United States. We're used to, 200 years. Wow, ancient. My first Irish fish and chips. Actually, it was my second, but it was the first one in a tiny town. The John Wayne movie, street signs, the magic of seeing all of that after seeing miles and miles of rolling hills and green, adorable bottle-fed lambs, herding dogs, the farm falling into the lake, all the while in a mist of fog with the name of the town called Cong. But wait, I learned what Cong means. It's Gaelic for, what did we say? The narrow neck of land between 2 lakes. So, I want all this to fit in there. This was the first tower, the first castle. So I would love to have this pet picture in here also. And I talked way too fast on my video. I think I'm just excited to get into it. Oh, here's my first fish and chips. Here's the castle. That's not the right castle, is it? Yeah, it is. Anyhow, I think this is really the first castle. They're starting to look alike. Okay, so how do I fix this? I went back and watched some of my favorite people on YouTube that I started with years ago. And I think I'm going to make a small tip in, because I don't want to lose this. And I just painted green paper on Tomoe River paper. Excuse me, Tomoe River paper the other day. And I think I'm going to put that here. Can I do this without messing it up? I watched some of the British Open, which is, I talked about yesterday, and never completed a sentence yesterday. I was so excited and off the wall, talking too fast and everything else. Anyhow, the rest of our group went on up to Northern Ireland in the English, what is it? Not the Empire, is it? The British Empire. Oh, that was nice and straight. Okay. And they are, one of the husbands, my husband's best friend, is volunteering at the British Open. And everybody went up there because he got them in to get a practice round play on one day. And the wives were like, okay, whatever. And although one of them does like golf, I think, but she said she wasn't good at it. I don't know. I see her as probably good at everything. But we couldn't stay away that long, and my husband doesn't play golf, which there's a whole nother story, but whatever. And so they're still up. So I was watching them, and I swear I saw our friend in his volunteer role. He walks the course with the players sometimes. Sometimes they make him hold up signs. He does all kinds of different things. But he's been doing this for years and years and years. He is a golf fanatic. And in this world, he is a rock star. Because he has been doing it so long. Okay, so now, this looks more like me. Ta-da! And I think I'll put this green. Maybe I'll just double face it. And I wasn't going to talk through this video. But it sounds like I might be talking through this video. Maybe then I can tell how fast I'm talking. I try to watch my video a little bit to make sure it's on course. And I was like, oh my lord. I feel like I'm talking a mile a minute. But that's me sometimes. Okay. I think I used up all my tiny little glue containers. Finally. I had a bunch of little ones with pieces left. Okay, this does not have green all the way down, but I'm okay with that. Maybe I'm not. Okay. I can cover it up. There we go. And then, there's my little picture of my food. Okay. Okay. So, yep, I went back and watched a bunch of old videos. Well, not a bunch, a couple. I'm like, okay, you're back to your roots. Quit trying to do things you don't know how to do, because you end up not liking them. And after all, this is mine. Reminiscent of my trip. Our trip. So this was a magical day. We were starting to see all the green countryside and learning about castles. And now I'm going to stick these in here because theoretically I'm going to get to come back and print these on printer. And this washi tape is going to be the bomb because that's exactly what we saw. You'd go by all these little teeny tiny little country towns and there'd be a tower. I think she said there were like 200 or 300 or 1,000, an astronomical number. It could be 1,000, seriously, of these old castle towers left. And a lot of them are falling apart. Some of them are restored. Some of them are in the process of being restored. Okay, I'm going to put these in here. Okay, this is what I want. I'm going to use some more of this. And obviously it's expensive to restore them. You have to stick to historical guidelines, rightfully so. And it's expensive. You see this stuff on the BBC, you know, how do I save my family's manor house and things like that. Ugh, we stayed in, the first night we stayed in a castle, which might be on the next page, along with Kylemore Abbey, which I was a little disappointed in. It's not open to the public. It's actually a working abbey. Well, nuns live there. Is that an abbey, I think? And I'm learning an abbey. I knew it was a church, but I wasn't, you know, whatever. It's just like Italian for Duomo and other places, cathedrals. Abbey. Okay, so now I have a tip-in of my food and the castle, a map, the city, my first impressions, and these are going to be paper clipped in until, and I'm looking for paper clips. I have a ton of them with little ribbons on them now, until I get my printer to stop acting up. That is better. I have a little something I could put there though. I'm not opposed to cutting this book up. Kylemore Abbey, right there. Yeah, that's closed. It's still being used by the church, a group of nuns. That might be what I need right there. Yeah. Live there, an order of nuns. So you just stand across the little pond and you look at it and you go to a gift shop, which is what we did. And I got, oh, the best chocolates. All these places had tea houses, which I guess they are tea people. But I'm not a hot tea person. I'm a good southern sweet tea person, cold. So yes, I have been up since 2 o'clock. I was doing pretty good with time change, going back, jet lag. And I don't know what happened last night. Last night backfired. So I'm going to try to upload this and take a nap. I spend too much time trying to take a nap and not being successful at it. And then when it's time to go to sleep, I'm not ready to go to sleep. So I think that's great in my world. These will be regular pictures, these castle pictures. Okay, I'll show you. This was the first castle, and it's called, oh, I'm not going to be able to pronounce it. Agnarr. Where is it? Here it is. Oh. Hello. The Office of Public Works manages all a lot of castles and a lot of tourist places. Huh. Okay, all of this is in other languages. It's outside of Galway. Built by the O'Flahertys in 1500, Aughnanuor Castle lies in the picturesque surroundings close to the shores of the Lough Corrib. In 1546, Ireland. The 1546, the O'Flahertys and the powerful Mayo O'Malleys were joined in the marriage of Donald O'Flaherty and Granuaile O'Malley. Standing on what is virtually a rock island, the castle is a particularly well-preserved example of an Irish tower house. In addition, visitors will find the remains of a banquet hall, a watchtower, an unusual double bawn and bastions, and a dry harbor. All of that to say they had protection, they had defense, which was number 1 and number 2 and number 1 and number 2 and number 3 and number 4 and number 1 and number 2 playing in their life. Think Game of Thrones, okay? They defended themselves to the hilt because they're always fighting. Always. 1500s. Anyhow. That was our first experience with the castle. And we learned about the parts that stick out. We learned about this part that stuck up way up top. We learned why the walls were sloped out going down, because you could throw rocks and they would bounce off of those and hit people. This was called a suicide or murder drop or something like that. They would drop rocks through the middle of this. They had a spiral staircase that would be hard to defend. No, hard to take over, easier to defend, because you could walk up backwards. They even had it on the right side of the building because all of the early Irish people were right-handed because left-handed was frowned on. So they even had the spiral staircase in their favor as if they were going up backwards, defending themselves with a sword and fighting somebody who's trying to go up. And the little tiny windows are big on the outside, tiny on the inside, like this. Because this is all a big cavern. And it was easy for you to shoot out, but it was not easy to get an arrow back into this tiny little narrow slot. Amazing. It was really cool. So, Cong Abbey, Aughnanuor Castle. So I might just cut this and put this right here. So is this is the right one. Okay. Outside of Cong. All of that and John Wayne too. On our first day. I mean, and boy, did we ever move. We were on the go. But that's the only way you can do it. See these places. And I mean, like the Blarney Castle, I knew I wasn't going to kiss that stone. That just grossed me out. And I know it's folklore anyhow. And it's not for good luck. It's for the gift of gab. Maybe if I could complete a sentence, I probably should have done it, but it was a 3-hour line. We got there on a Saturday. Of course, it was packed, and we didn't have 3 hours in that park. So it's just how it went. But that's the only way you got to keep moving, otherwise you don't get to see everything. All right, I think I'm just going to put this guy here, and I like it much better now. And this might go up here. Yeah, because then the castle sticks out a little bit. And try to figure out what's wrong with my printer. Play with it again. I have a print printer also, but I really don't like how those pictures print out. Sorry, Amy Tangerine. I'm sure you were paid to say that, what you said about it anyhow. You're just too nice. Okay. Love it. Love it. Much better. My style. Much better. I think I just cut off my camera without finishing. So, Kong is not a crazy word. We're almost at the coast. Our first impressions are fabulous. And we already have done one castle. 27,000 more to go. Not really, but oh, look at that. See, isn't that lush? That right there makes me happy. Yeah. So, see y'all tomorrow. Bye.